Millionaire's shocking revelation, adopted daughter humiliated by Latina manager at 3 a.m. In a mansion perched on the edge of a cliff, where the ocean roared like a wild beast below, secrets lingered in the shadows. Tonight was different. A storm brewed in the dark sky, fierce, lightning split the air, illuminating the faces of those gathered inside. The tension was palpable, the air thick with unspoken words and clashing expectations. Talia, the millionaire's adopted daughter, had always been the golden girl, basking in luxury and privilege. But tonight, whisperings hung like cobwebs in the corners of expensive chandeliers. She could feel the heat of shame creeping up her throat as the clock struck 3. It felt like the witching hour, when all dark thoughts come to life. Her Latina manager, fierce and fiery, was the one steering this ship straight into a storm. The respect she once held was rapidly fading, and the patrons of this elite gathering now looked on with judgment in their eyes. Murmurs soaked the room like spilled wine. Did you see how she spoke to Talia? I can't believe that just happened. Each glance felt like a knife, slicing through the tension. As she reached for her phone, Talia's heart raced. Did she dare text her father? The man who had always shielded her was miles away, unaware of the volcanic eruption building around her in that dimly lit room. Then, there was a sudden shriek. A chair toppled over. Gasps erupted like firecrackers, and for that fleeting moment, time stood still. Talia's chest tightened. Had she become a laughingstock in her own life? A cruel joke torn from the lips of those she once considered friends? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Talia's manager stepped forward, eyes blazing with indignation, ready to challenge the whispers. The atmosphere crackled. What would she say? Every soul in that room felt it, an electric anticipation flooding through them. The layers of tension peeled back, revealing a darkness that was more than just embarrassment. It was betrayal, resentment, perhaps even a power struggle veiled behind polite smiles. The clock's ticking echoed ominously. What would happen when the truth spilled out like blood on pristine marble floors? Would Talia emerge as a phoenix, or would she crumble under the weight? In that moment suspended between lingering dread and explosive revelation, the question loomed large: was this the beginning of the end, or a path to redemption for Talia? Talia swallowed hard, her breath hitching as she met her manager's fierce gaze. This wasn't just a confrontation anymore, it was a full-blown battle for survival. The patrons leaned in, their fascination tinged with malice, eager to witness the fallout. The manager's lips curled into a confident smile, one that told Talia she was just getting started. Enough! The manager shouted, her voice slicing through the murmurs. You will not treat her like a child who needs rescuing. Talia is here on her own merit. The guests shifted uncomfortably, whispers rising like tidewater at high. Talia's palms grew damp. Please, just stop, she barely choked out, but the words were swallowed by the storm. Eyes darted around the room, seeking chaos. One woman, draped in pearls, gasped and covered her mouth, while a man in a tailored suit leaned back, amusement dancing in his narrowed eyes. A low murmur of "what a scandal" drifted through the crowd, and Talia felt the sharp sting of humiliation wash over her like icy water. Your father is not here to protect you tonight, is he? Her manager continued, her tone laced with venom. This is your moment to step up, Talia. They need to know who you are. Talia's heart raced. More than her dignity was at stake, her identity hung in the balance as the weight of those words pressed down upon her. Did she even know who she was anymore? Clenching her fists, she felt an ember of defiance stir deep within. "Stop acting as if I need you to fight my battles," Talia exclaimed, forcing the words through a tight throat. It felt like ripping off a bandage, raw and painful. Gasps floated through the room, filling the silence with crackling tension. Her manager's eyes widened in surprise, the confidence momentarily knocked out of her. "You think they'll respect you after this?" Talia could see it now, the truth hidden beneath layers of pretense. The people in that room were not her friends, they were predators. Waiting for her to falter. But the growing fire inside her began to drown the fear, fanning the flames of her resolve. "I would rather face their judgment as who I truly am than cower in the shadow of their expectations," she replied, every word heavier than the last. It was terrifying, liberating. "Very well," her manager said with a smirk, as if the confession sparked a renewed challenge. "Let us see how this plays out." But before Talia could react, the lights flickered once more, plunging the gathering into darkness. Screams echoed, sharp and fearful, swirling around her like wind. Panic surged. Someone tripped over a table, the sound of shattering glass cascading through the air, and then silence hit like a hammer, making Talia's heart pound painfully in her chest. Out of the darkness crept a shadow, a figure undeterred by the chaos. Talia's instincts screamed at her to run, but her feet were planted, rooted to the floor as she squinted into the darkness. Was it her manager coming to end this madness? Or someone far worse, waiting to unleash a new horror? The tension ricocheted off the walls as she held her breath. Just as the lights flickered back on, casting a harsh glare on a scene that had shifted dramatically, Talia gasped, the sight before her chilling her to the core. Who had entered, and what did they want? The room hung in a moment of collective disbelief, hearts racing. What had just been unleashed? Would it change everything? Talia's breath caught in her throat as her eyes locked onto the figure striding confidently into the room. A man, tall and imposing, with a dark aura that sent shivers down her spine. He wore an expensive suit, the fabric catching the light as he moved, and a peculiar smugness radiated from him that made the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice smooth yet laced with authority, "I trust you're all enjoying this little drama. It appears Talia has stirred the pot more than I anticipated." The crowd shifted again, the air electric with a mix of tension and anticipation. Talia felt her blood run cold. Who was this man, and what did he want with her? "Jake," her manager whispered, eyes wide. Shock and fear intertwined in her expression, betraying the ruthless facade she had worn moments before. "Talia, sweet child," he continued, his gaze locking onto hers, piercing right through her. "I think it's time you learned the truth about your family's charitable connections. They have secrets, dark ones, that could change everything for all of us." Gasps rippled through the crowd, the atmosphere thickened by curiosity and horror. Talia felt a vice grip her chest as she struggled to comprehend his words. Secrets. Dark ones. Her mind raced, thoughts spinning like a whirlwind. "What do you mean?" She managed to choke out, her voice trembling yet defiant, rivaling the storm brewing inside her. "Your father's legacy is built on shadows, Talia. And I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to offer you a chance to know the truth," he said, his lips curling into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "And maybe even to inherit what you've always deserved." The patrons began whispering furiously, the murmurs escalating into a sea of speculation. Inherit? What could she possibly inherit? Was a common refrain. Talia's heart pounded in her chest. Inherit what? A name shrouded in scandal, or a twisted fate crafted by those she trusted? Every instinct told her to walk away, turn her back on the truth that felt heavier than the world itself. But a flicker of curiosity ignited within her. "Why should I trust you?" she demanded, meeting his gaze with surprising intensity. "You think I'd just swallow whatever lies you're feeding me?" Jake stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "I wouldn't expect anything less. But know this, running away has never helped anyone. If you stay ignorant, you'll become just another pawn in someone else's game. Is that what you want? Talia felt the eyes of the room watching her, dissecting her every move. She could feel despair clawing at her insides, but something else was rising too, a need for truth, a hunger to uncover what had been hidden from her for so long. Fine, she breathed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. If I'm part of this game, then I demand to play. A laugh escaped Jake, low and menacing. Welcome to the real world, Talia. Let us see who comes out on top with that. He turned on his heel and walked back into the shadows, leaving the room in stunned silence. Talia's pulse raced, her mind swirling. What had she just agreed to? And at what cost? The lingering fear inside her told her this was just the beginning. What was the truth Jake was hinting at? More importantly, could she handle it? The chill in the air was palpable as Talia stood frozen, grappling with what had just transpired. Around her, the murmurs of the crowd grew louder, a chorus of voices buzzing with curiosity and suspicion. She could feel their eyes on her, wondering how she would react, what she might say. Did he really just say that? Someone whispered, their tone hovering between awe and disbelief. Talia couldn't disentangle her thoughts from her racing heart. Let us get out of here, Jake urged, his voice breaking through the chaos like a sharp blade. Talia turned to find her manager's worried face, her brow furrowed and lips drawn tight. No, Talia replied, the word tumbling from her mouth with unexpected firmness. She had entered this world of glitz wanting to make a name for herself, and now, faced with secrets that could reshape her very existence, she couldn't take a step back. I want to find out more. Are you sure this is the right path? Jake's voice, usually so steady, now trembled with concern. Talia locked eyes with him, she understood his fear. It echoed in her own heart but coursed alongside a stubborn resolve. As if summoning the darkest shadows, the lights flickered, and for a moment, the glimmering chandeliers transformed into ominous shapes looming above her. Talia could feel the weight of uncertainty, each breath heavy with the scent of impending revelations. Let us talk, she said, her voice surprising even herself, tinged with both fear and anticipation. I need to know what I'm up against. Jake stepped closer, his brow knitted as he assessed her with newfound intensity. The tension between them crackled like lightning, making the air thick and hard to breathe. All right, he replied slowly, but we need to do it in private. Follow me. With that, Talia felt a mix of intrigue and dread as she stepped away from the safety of the crowd. Was she jumping into the deep end without even learning how to swim? She followed him through the dimly lit corridors that led to a secluded lounge, her heart hammering like a drum. Inside the room, the atmosphere shifted yet again. The heavy velvet curtains blocked any outside light, plunging them into near darkness. Only the faint glow of a single candle illuminated Jake's serious expression. Here's the deal, Jake started, his voice low, barely a whisper amidst the heavy silence. Your father's organization is tied to things you can't even imagine. Money laundering, corruption, threats that could ruin countless lives. And it's not just about money, it's about power and control. Talia felt as if the floor had dropped away beneath her. You're saying my family is involved in crime? How? Why didn't I know? It's not something they want you to find out. They've wrapped you in a protective bubble, Talia, shielded from the ugly truths. But that bubble is about to burst, Jake explained, urgency creeping into his tone. And you need to be ready for the fallout. The bitterness of betrayal seeped into her veins like poison. So what's the solution? Just dive into the chaos? No, you can use it for your advantage, he urged, his voice suddenly ringing with conviction. You can take back control, understand the forces at play, and decide whether to embrace your legacy or forge your own path. Talia's mind raced. Was this a plan or a trap? The thoughts battled within her. All she had wanted was recognition, something to prove her worth. And now this. Dark family secrets and unexpected responsibilities loomed over her like a storm cloud. Can I trust you? She finally murmured, her voice barely a whisper, betraying the tremor of fear that ripped through her. You have to, Jake replied firmly, if you want to navigate through this world. Just then, the power flickered back to life, flooding the room with harsh light. Talia's heart dropped as she realized their time was running out. If she wanted to uncover the truth about her family, she needed to embrace the darkness that came with it. As she turned to face the shadows again, all those questions lingered heavily in the air. What if she discovered more than she was prepared to handle? And what if the most shocking truth was yet to come? The moment the lights blazed back to full brightness, Talia's instincts kicked in. Panic rippled beneath her skin. She didn't want to be exposed, not now, not when everything felt so precarious. What do we do next? She asked, her voice trembling as if the words themselves were weighing her down. Jake glanced at the door, his expression hardening. We gather information. Find out who's behind this. If your father's organization is as intense as it sounds, then there will be people watching. We can't just sit here and wait. Yes, but where do you suggest we start? The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. We'll need to talk to people who might know more. There's a small group in the industry insiders who've seen things. It's risky, but it might give you the answers you're searching for. And we might find out if anyone is onto you. He watched her closely, searching for signs of doubt. Talia felt a surge of determination rush through her, mixing with the dread of the unknown. Okay. Let us do it. Just then, a loud noise echoed through the hallway, shattering the fragile air of their conversation. It sounded like a door slamming, followed by hurried footsteps. Talia's heart raced again. What was that? She whispered, anxiety creeping back in. Jake stepped toward the door, peering cautiously through the crack. The vibrant revelry of the party outside seemed a world away. I don't know, but we need to be careful. If someone catches us here. His sentence trailed off, leaving the unspoken consequences to hang in the air. Should we hide? Talia suggested, but before he could respond, the doorknob rattled, a knock puncturing the tension. Jake! Talia! Are you in there? It was a voice, urgent and familiar. Talia felt a mixture of dread and relief wash over her. It was Sam, a fellow actress who often mingled with Talia's circle. Was she a friend or a potential threat to this delicate situation? Jake exchanged a glance with Talia, his expression a flicker of uncertainty. Let me handle this, he said, stepping to the door and opening it slightly. Sam stood there, her expression painted with worry that turned to relief as she spotted Talia's face. I saw you slip away. You okay? You look distracted. We're fine, Jake interjected too quickly. Talia bristled at the defensiveness in his voice. Just catching up. Nothing to worry about. Catching up. Sam repeated, narrowing her eyes. I know you two are up to something. You've got that look on your faces, like you've discovered a scandal. What is it? Talia felt the walls closing in. Would she be able to share even a fraction of her turmoil? It's the words caught in her throat. Nothing you need to get involved in, Jake interrupted, stepping into Sam's line of vision. We'll handle it. The room was thick with uncertainty, and Talia could all but feel the tension radiating from Jake. But she also felt a flicker inside her. She didn't want to be kept in the dark. Sam, Talia spoke up, her voice firm despite the chaos swirling inside. What if I told you I might be in danger? What if this involves for real something about my family? The room fell silent, her words echoing like a shot in the night. Sam's eyes widened, processing Talia's admission while Jake shot her a warning glance. What are you talking about? Sam demanded, stepping closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Before Talia could answer, another series of footsteps approached, this time accompanied by laughter that felt like nails on a chalkboard. She recognized a few of the boisterous voices, her father's associates. What do we do? She breathed, panic swirling again. We play it cool, Jake instructed, holding his hands up as if to pacify the air. If they see us together, there's no telling what they'll suspect. Talia's mind raced. She was caught in the crossfire of her father's world, grappling with truths she wasn't ready to handle. Was there any way she could turn this to her advantage before the storm hit? But what secrets were lurking just out of sight? And if she couldn't trust those closest to her, who truly had her back? Just as these thoughts spiraled, the door creaked open wider, and Talia's heart plummeted. The moment of truth was upon her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change forever. Talia held her breath. The door swung open, revealing Nicole, one of her father's most trusted aides, with a wide, smug grin plastered across her face. Behind her, a trio of suited men jostled and chuckled as they filled the doorway like shadows, tall and foreboding. Well, if it isn't the talent, Nicole sang, her tone dripping with sarcasm. What are you doing hiding back here? Surely no secrets here, right? Her eyes sparkled with mischief, darting between Talia and Jake. Talia's heart hammered in her chest. Panic clawed at her insides as she searched for a way to defuse the escalating situation. We were just catching up. Jake cut in, his voice slicing through the tension like a knife. He stepped forward, forcing a casual grin. You know how parties can be. Too much mingling and not enough. He trailed, the end of his sentence hanging in the air. Nicole's brow raised, suspicion flickering in her eyes. Not enough what? Not enough fun, Talia chirped, summoning all her acting skills to put on a facade. We wanted to escape the vibe. The men behind Nicole snorted, clearly unconvinced. One of them, a burly man with a thick neck and an uneasy grin, leaned in closer. Doesn't seem like you're escaping anything but the truth? Before Talia could respond, she felt Jake's hand on the small of her back, a reassuring touch that grounded her, even amidst the tension. Nicole took a step forward, her smile sharpening. Well, how about you join us? I think we could use a little entertainment. Her eyes flickered with malice as she toyed with a clutch purse that matched Talia's unease. What do you mean? Talia's heart raced as the words fell from her mouth. This wasn't just a casual invite, it was an ultimatum. Oh, nothing too extravagant, Nicole replied, feigning innocence. Just reminding you how small you are in this big world. You know how your father likes to run things. The others chuckled, but it felt like an arrow piercing straight through Talia. They were toying with her, standing in the doorway like vultures over a fresh kill. Leave her alone, Jake said, standing a little taller, a fierce glint in his eye. She's not part of whatever petty games you're playing. Nicole's expression turned icy, and the laughter faded, replaced by a thick silence. Petty games? You think you can protect her? Talia could feel the weight of their judgment bearing down on her, but in that moment, she found her voice. I'm not afraid of you, Nicole. Or any of this. The air between them crackled, tension coiling thick enough to choke on. Nicole's face darkened, and she shot a look at her associates. You'll regret that, sweetheart. Secrets have a way of boiling over. Just because you've been mostly shielded doesn't mean you know every shadow that lurks. Outrage gripped Talia as she struggled to comprehend Nicole's implication. Let us go, Jake said abruptly. He was stepping toward the door, but his protective move only sent Nicole into a fit of laughter. Oh, you're leaving? A shame, really. I think some enlightening competition is about to begin, something that might expose more than you bargained for. She glanced suggestively at the glimmering party outside. An icy dread filled Talia. What did she mean by that? She turned to Jake, whose jaw clenched, eyes burning with determination, but the moment stretched, unraveling as the sounds of the party ricocheted in her skull. Was it just idle chatter, or were her father's men aware of something sinister? What had she unintentionally stumbled into? Forget it, Nicole said, waving her hand dismissively. You've made your choice. But just remember, the stakes are high, and I always play to win. With that, she turned back toward the party, her laughter trailing like smoke. The daunting silhouettes of the men receded, but their threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. As the door clicked shut behind them, Talia felt a rush of adrenaline. The game was on, and secrets were about to come crashing down. But first, they would need to gather allies and uncover the truth. "Where do we start?" she asked, her voice steadier. Now, Jake's eyes shimmered with resolve. "We find those insiders I mentioned. It's the only way to figure out what we're up against." As they stepped into the dizzying swirl of lights and laughter, Talia couldn't shake the feeling that their path was littered with impending dangers, and every move they made would be watched closely. Little did they know, they were not the only players on the board. What awaited them at this crossroads? And when the truth came spilling out, would it bring them closer together or tear them apart? The party pulsed with a chaotic energy, the laughter and music blending into a cacophony that drowned out Talia's racing thoughts. She followed Jake through the crowd, trying to focus on the goal ahead instead of the whirlwind of tension behind them. "Stick close," Jake whispered, looking over his shoulder, his protective instincts evident. He guided her to a quieter corner decorated with twinkling fairy lights, the soft glow cutting through the darkness. "Who do we look for?" Talia's voice barely broke the noise around them, anxiety knotting her stomach. She scanned faces, searching for anyone who looked welcoming, familiar, or most importantly trustworthy. "The wait staff. They know everything that goes on behind the scenes. We might find someone who has heard a whisper worth chasing," Jake said, his eyes focused on the busy servers zipping by, balancing trays of drinks and hors d'oeuvres. Talia nodded, her heart pounding. "Okay, let's find one." The two of them moved through the throng, trying to blend in. Every now and then, Talia caught Nicole's unmistakable laugh ringing out amidst the crowd, an unsettling reminder that their presence was noted and watched. Then, a flash of color caught her attention, a server wearing a deep green dress, her hair tied back in a neat bun. She looked overwhelmed yet determined, dodging through the crowd. Talia reached out, gripping Jake's arm. "There. Her." They approached the server, Talia's pulse racing with hope. "Excuse me," she said, stepping closer to the woman, who looked up with a wary gaze. "Yes." The server replied, her voice slightly breathless. "I heard that this party has some interesting undercurrents." Talia forced confidence into her tone, trying to appear casual. "We're looking for someone who might know more about the dealings behind the scenes." The server hesitated, glancing around before leaning in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know much, but I've seen some strange conversations happening near the back hallway. Some important people passed through earlier looking anxious. I overheard mentions of contracts." "Contracts?" Talia breathed, the words sending a jolt through her. It felt crucial, and her mind raced with possibilities. "Yeah. And I heard one of them mention the name Nicole," the server said, her eyes darting nervously toward the party. At the mention of Nicole, Talia's stomach twisted. "What kind of contracts?" "I don't know specifics, I just serve drinks," she said hurriedly. "But if you want to find out more, you might want to head to the media room. That's where the discussions get loud." "Thank you," Talia said, her mind buzzing with hope. But before they could turn away, a voice boomed behind them. "There you are." It was Nicole, striding toward them, her face twisted into a predatory smile. "I've been looking for you too. Don't tell me you've been playing hide-and-seek." Panic shot through Talia. She quickly glanced at Jake, whose expression was a cold mask of feigned confidence. "We were just getting some air," he said smoothly, though Talia could sense the tension in his posture. Nicole stepped closer, her voice low and conspiratorial. "Air, huh? I have a feeling that you're in for quite a surprise tonight. Things may not be as they seem." Talia squared her shoulders, trying to hide the tremor in her hands. "What do you mean?" "Oh, I wouldn't want to spoil it. Just know that all games come to an end, but some endings are messier than you expect." With that, she pivoted, leaving Talia and Jake standing in stunned silence, the laughter of the crowd around them suddenly feeling ominous. What does she mean? What is happening? Talia's thoughts spiraled. The feeling of danger grew, thickening the air between them. Jake's eyes were fierce, but worry flickered in them. We need to get to that media room. Now. They turned to push into the flow of partygoers, stepping with purpose and urgency. But as they pushed forward, Talia caught something shining out of the corner of her eye, an envelope, half hidden beneath a tablecloth. Wait. She reached down instinctively, lifting the cloth and revealing a thick envelope addressed to her father, the seal still intact. Heart pounding, she glanced at Jake. This could be it. We have to see what's inside. But as she opened the envelope, a familiar voice sliced through the ambience, Nicole's laughter echoing from across the room. Talia's heart sank. The hunt had just begun, and she felt the walls closing in. What if this contained the truth about everything? But, as she tore it open, a chilling realization washed over her. Whatever secrets were hidden within, they could change everything. Just keep your eyes and ears open, Jake said, glancing at her with urgency. We're not alone in this. And if Nicole knows we're looking, they might move faster than we expect. Let us find out what we're really dealing with. Talia's fingers trembled as she pulled a folded paper from the envelope, her breath hitching. Would this be what they needed, or a trap that would pull the ground from under their feet? With a sinking feeling, she read the first line, her heart racing as the implications hit her. What price had her father paid to keep them safe? They were players in a game far darker than they had imagined, and as the laughter swelled around them, Talia wondered, could they stay one step ahead, or was it already too late? As the lights around them dimmed, and the crowd roared, a revelation was lurking just beyond reach. What was Talia truly willing to sacrifice to uncover the truth? Talia's heart raced as her eyes darted across the page. Words blurred together, and each sentence drummed louder in her ears, drowning out the festive cacophony around her. She barely registered Jake's urgent whispers, his tense presence buzzing beside her. The paper trembled in her grasp. Was it a contract? It felt like a secret weapon now, revealing a truth she'd never wanted to uncover. What is it? Jake pressed, his voice barely audible. It's about my father, she stammered, breathless. She needed to get away from the crowd. The walls felt like they were closing in as the night's bright lights flickered ominously above them. We have to go somewhere private. Before Jake could respond, Nicole's voice rang out again, drawing closer. Talia, Jake. You're missing out on the fun. She weaved through the crowd toward them, her eyes glinting with mischief. The sight of her sent a chill down Talia's spine. How had Nicole figured it out so fast? With no time to waste, Jake snatched Talia's arm, steering her into a narrow hallway that led away from the chaos. They stumbled into a small storage room, boxes stacked high, masking their presence in darkness. Talia slammed the door shut, exhaling hard, her breath coming in quick bursts. Read it, Jake urged, urging her to focus. He placed a hand on her shoulder, steady yet trembling with uncertainty. You need to know what's inside. Talia unfolded the paper, her pulse surging, and her eyes raced over the words as they revealed her father's past dealings. Contracts, promises, names. Each revelation became a heavy weight on her conscience. Among the names mentioned, she spotted a familiar one, Puerto Rican investors, shadowy backroom deals, all leading to an ultimate decision that would have dire consequences for her family. Jake, this is worse than I thought. My father, her voice caught as guilt bubbled up inside her. He made deals I never knew about, all for our protection, or so he thought. It's not your fault, Talia. He took a step closer, urging her to meet his gaze. We can still turn this around. We just need to get to the media room before Nicole and them. Find out who's behind it. Suddenly, a knock echoed from the door, causing both of them to jump. Talia? Jake? It was Nicole's voice, sharp and demanding. I know you're in there. We need to talk. Now. Talia's heart sank, panic flooding her as she looked at Jake. "What should we do?" "Don't open the door," he replied. "We're not ready for what she wants to share." "Not yet." "Or she's already figured out something," Talia whispered, scanning the shadows of their cramped hiding spot. "She's up to something. We can't let her catch us off guard. We need to move," he said firmly, anticipation swimming in his eyes. "There's an exit at the back of the storage room. Let us slip out and make for the media room." As they crept toward the exit, the knocking intensified. "Talia, I can hear you. Open up, or I'll have to come in." Nicole's voice dripped with a mix of excitement and control, sending a shiver down Talia's back. Talia hesitated, the weight of the envelope heavy in her hands. What if she knows everything? What if she's playing us? But before she could dwell on her fears, Jake gently pulled her hand, urging her toward the exit. "We'll find out, one way or another. The truth will always come out, Talia. Just hold tight." With that, they slipped through the narrow door at the back, creeping past the stacks of boxes, desperate to remain unseen. The tension simmered just beneath their skin. Could they truly outpace Nicole? As they faded into the shadows, Talia's thoughts spiraled again, gnawing at the edge of her mind. Would the next revelation push them deeper into danger? Or could they somehow expose Nicole's grip before it was too late? The hallway stretched before them, uncertain, and darker than she'd ever imagined. Each step forward felt like a step toward an inevitable confrontation, but what awaited them beyond that door? Would their next move bring redemption, or disaster? Talia's breath quickened as a familiar laughter echoed in the distance, both reassuring and menacing. "We have to hurry," she urged, propelling them into the unknown. But behind them, shadows lurked and watched, counting the seconds until their next move. Talia and Jake moved swiftly, the muffled sounds of the party fading behind them. Every footfall reverberated in Talia's chest, her heart still racing. The dark hallway felt like an endless abyss, the shadows seeming to stretch and bend like fingers reaching for them. She couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted. As they approached the exit, a frigid draft swept through the corridor, chilling their skin and making Talia shudder. The newspaper pressed against her palm felt heavier with each passing second, as if it knew the doom it contained. "Are you sure there's no other way?" Jake whispered urgently, glancing over his shoulder as though Nicole might spring from the darkness at any moment. Talia could only nod. "We have to get to the media room before she does. If she beats us there's no time for ifs," Jake interrupted, his voice firm. "Focus. Just think about what happens if we don't stop her." The thought sent a wave of dread slamming into her gut. What if Nicole had already prepared her narrative? What if she twisted the truth to protect herself while exposing Talia's family to scandal? With one last glance back, they pushed through the exit doors and stumbled into a dimly lit hallway. The media room was just beyond. Talia's instincts buzzed, a sense of urgency coursing through her veins. She could almost taste the bitter mix of fear and resolve. Suddenly, the laughter that had echoed in the distance morphed into a giggling chorus, bouncing off the walls. Talia froze, instincts screaming that something was off. The joyous sounds of the party felt surreal now, a stark contrast to their situation. "Maybe we should go back," Jake suggested hesitantly, but Talia shook her head. "No. We can't let her get the upper hand. We need to push forward." They hurried, trying to keep their breathing steady, their footsteps as silent as possible. The media room door loomed before them like a fortress. Talia reached for the handle, her fingers trembling. "Wait," Jake whispered, his eyes darting nervously. "What if it's a trap?" "What if then we'll deal with it," Talia replied, surprising herself with the courage in her voice. "But we need to know. We need to uncover the truth." With a deep breath, she turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing a scene that made her stomach drop. Shiny cameras and lights aimed at Nicole, who stood at the front of the media room, a triumphant smile plastered on her face. She was flanked by reporters, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling mix of confidence and mischief. Talia stepped back instinctively, pulling Jake with her. What the hell is she doing? Nicole was reveling in the spotlight, holding a microphone as if it were a weapon. Tonight, I have a bombshell to drop. You won't want to miss this. Panic clawed at Talia's throat. Was this it? The moment when everything would be laid bare. The darkness around her marched in closer, and she could feel Jake's nervous energy alongside her. They can't know about the envelope, Jake said, panic rising in his voice. If they figure it out, you can't let it get out, Talia agreed, casting a desperate glance toward the door. Then she noticed Nicole's sly gaze sweeping across the room, as if she were already scoping out the chaos she planned to unleash. This wasn't just a bombshell, it was a calculated move, a way to control the narrative tightly in her grasp. We need to distract her, Talia said, her mind spinning with options. We have to create a diversion. Jake's eyes widened. But how? There's no time. Just then, a raucous explosion of laughter erupted from the crowd. Talia's heart raced. Maybe the distraction had already begun. Or was it a trick, a ploy from Nicole? Let us slip away while we can, she urged with newfound resolve. We'll find a way to stop this. Trust me, Jake. With a nod, they turned back to the hallway, the sound of Nicole's voice fading in the distance. Behind them, the laughter continued, but the shadows remained. There was still a chance if they could just shake the feeling that they had already lost. But deep within, Talia felt a ticking clock. Counting down, a ticking that grew louder with each moment, each second that brought them closer to Nicole unmasking their worst fears. What would the revelation be? Would Talia face the darkness of her father's legacy? Or would she emerge stronger, confronting an enemy that was far too close for comfort? Every step forward left her wondering, what price would she pay to ensure the truth remained hidden? Talia's heart hammered in her chest as they fled down the dim corridor. She could still hear Nicole's voice, echoing like thunder in her mind. What is she saying? She whispered, urgency punctuating her words. Jake glanced back, fear etched across his features. We can't let her spill it, he said, his voice low and fierce. Panic surged through her. She had barely begun to grasp the threads of her identity, and now it felt like they were ready to unravel completely. Where do we go? Talia asked, glancing back toward the media room, where Nicole was likely spinning her web of lies. What if she's already told them everything? What if the truth comes out? Jake's determination flickered. We still have time. There's a back door near the lobby. If we can reach it, we can regroup and plan. They hurried through the shadows, determined to avoid being caught in Nicole's crosshairs. Intense adrenaline coursed through Talia. This might be her last chance to regain control, to shield herself from the truth that had just begun to crack open like an old wound. Do you think she suspects anything? Talia asked, breathless. Nicole suspects everything, Jake replied grimly. It's her modus operandi. She thrives on chaos. As they reached the lobby, the sounds of the party swelled, merciless laughter calling to them like sirens. Talia recoiled at the thought of returning to that chaos, feeling trapped in a game she never intended to join. In the thick of that urgency, they pushed through another door that led to a small, dimly lit kitchen. The sharp scent of herbs and spices lingered in the air, a stark contrast to the brewing storm outside. Talia paused, closing her eyes for just a moment, gathering her resolve. She felt Jake's hand on her shoulder, steady and reassuring. Talia, listen. Whatever Nicole tries to pull, we can't let it define you. You are more than your father's reputation, more than his ties to shady characters. This is your chance to take control. She opened her eyes, looking into his earnest gaze. The weight of her father's legacy pressed down on her, suffocating, but somewhere deep within her burned a hunger for truth and need to carve her own path. Okay, she said, her voice firm. Let us find a way to turn this around before it's too late. They slipped out of the kitchen and into another hallway that led to a service door, their breaths coming out shaky yet determined. But as they approached the exit, a voice halted them in their tracks. "Where do you think you're going?" It was Nicole, standing imposingly with her arms crossed, flanked by her hired men. The shadows danced around them, steeped in impending doom. Talia felt her heart drop. You have no right to follow us." Nicole laughed, a high, triumphant sound that echoed in the empty corridor. "Oh, but I do. This is a game, darling, and you're just a pawn. You're not going anywhere until I say so." Jake stepped forward, a fierce look in his eye. "You won to use Talia's past against her, Nicole. She deserves better." "Oh, but you misunderstand," she purred, her tone dripping with malice. "You think this is about Talia? It's about the empire your father built. It's about power and control. And we both know that once the truth slips, there's no undoing it. Back off." Talia shouted, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "You'll not play with my life." Nicole's smirk faded, replaced by cold calculation. "You don't know what you're inviting, Talia. You need to accept what you are, not just who you want to be. Don't let the illusion of freedom blind you." In that moment, Talia felt the weight of the envelope in her pocket, a physical reminder of the truth that lingered just out of sight. "I want the truth, Nicole," she declared, her voice steady. "I'm ready to face whatever darkness lies ahead. If that means exposing you and your games, then bring it on." Nicole's eyes widened, and the room buzzed silently. Behind her, the men fidgeted, sensing the shifting tides. "All right then," she hissed, turning icy. "Let us see how deep you want to dive, Talia. Just know that in this world, there are consequences for those who don't play by the rules." Before Talia or Jake could respond, Nicole swept away, leaving tension crackling in her wake. "What now?" Jake said softly, the urgency returning. "We expose her," Talia replied, a fire igniting within her. "We gather evidence, rally support. If Nicole wants to play games, we play better." Through sheer force of will, Talia felt the spiraling chaos straighten into resolve. In that moment, she realized she wouldn't just uncover her family's legacy, she'd rewrite her own story, unearthing truth instead of hiding from it. Together they took a determined step into the unknown, heartbeats synchronized as they prepared to reclaim their narrative. "Let us go," Talia urged, a glimpse of hope shining in Jake's eyes as he nodded. As they stepped out into the half-lit hallway, shadows looming about them, Talia felt ready. She could confront whatever lay ahead: the storm, the secrets, the chaos of her family's history. It was time to emerge from the shadows, to become the woman she was meant to be, and the city awaited her choice. This was her time to rise. And with that, they moved forward, ready to face the truths that awaited. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our channel and not miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us keep pushing out the best content. Flood that comment section with your reactions and theories about the ending, we love hearing from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your voice matters.